Hey, this is Brendan from Comic Con. My guest today is Mike Kennedy, one of the founders of Magnetic Press. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary, so we're having him on today just to talk about some of the exciting things that are going on with Magnetic. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Great. I'm doing good.
So, one of the most exciting things that I'm seeing here is you guys just won your first Eisner after 10 years. What's that all about? How's that feel?
Yeah, no, that feels great. After 10 years, finally some validation. I mean, we've been fortunate to have been in the room like with nominations for the last 10 years. We got nominated our first year on the shelves and every year since then. So we kind of kept that Susan Lucci streak going for a while, but
Mhm.
that got broken this past year when we finally picked up our first trophy. So that was exciting.
And that was for Dracula Frankenstein box set.
Yeah, by George Best. Yep. Yeah, we kickstarted that. Actually, that was a backer kit campaign, our first backer kit campaign. Um, but yeah, it was a fun project. Finally, I think it was because it was. Oh, I know Dracula. I know Frankenstein. It was something that people recognize. So when they're filling out their ballots, they're like, "Well, I don't know the book, but I know Dracula." Check.
Nice. Nice. Well, and then you guys have coming up the George Best collection of classic horror OGNs with Dracula, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So you're going back to that well with the familiar classics and bringing those to a
Yeah,
graphic novel
yeah, we
format.
did. We did sell out of Dracula and Frankenstein. So George surprised us with, "Hey, I finished another one for Hunchback of Notre Dame." So we figured, all right, let's put them all three into a brand new box and offer it again. And it did,
That's
did,
very cool.
did good for us. So we did that other one through Kickstarter. That way we're kind of hitting both audiences. We hit the backer kit audience first, and then it's like, all right, now let's hit the Kickstarter audience. Because even though you expect there to be a lot of crossover, they're they're still fairly separate audiences. I was kind of surprised by how many new people you pick up on each platform.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, and I was talking to somebody the other day. I forget who I was having this conversation with, but Kickstarter has pretty much been taken over now by comics. Like it used to be these funky little gadgets and things, but now it's like it's a comics platform.
Yeah, it's between comics and tabletop games. I mean, comics does seem like it's the most prominent category, but
Mhm.
certainly I think there might even be statistics that show that tabletop is their most successful category. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe comics are the most successful, but tabletop is the most profitable. I don't.
I wonder if it's
Between the
because
two
of
of
the
those,
price point, because when you're doing a graffic novel, you're looking at 20, $30, but when you're looking at a tabletop role-playing game, you're looking at 100, 200, $300
250.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but there's no argument that Kickstarter and other platforms like it have just really redefined the. I just did a small show in Michigan this past weekend. It was kind of a career day thing at Grand Valley University in Michigan. All the questions were just about self-publishing and how do I get a publisher. And I'm just like, nowadays with Kickstarter and Etsy and Shopify and
Mhm.
WooCommerce, like you don't need a publisher nowadays.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
the
It is
tools are right there.
it is funny how much that's changed because, back in the day, it's like, how do I get in with Marvel? How do I get in with DC? And that was the big questions that people were being asked. But now it's just like, how do I make my own books? Because per unit, you're making more money
Oh
when you're self-publishing. But
yeah,
then like there's the ease of people that are already set up that already have the avenues for distribution and things like that. So it's like this hard balance. And I think Kickstarter has kind of bridged part of that, where they help you with just the organization. Like they don't do the shipping and stuff for you, but they help you organize
yeah.
the things that you need to get in place, right?
They've created a marketplace where if you don't want to do the shipping, there are now outfits that's all they do is, hey, you got a Kickstarter, let us ship your books. It's like, hey, I mean, if especially with a lot of independent authors, they're um, kind of they're not necessarily comfortable with self promoting themselves or going
Mhm.
out like they want to make their books. The whole interpersonal part of selling things may not be anybody's strong suit, but there's like just a whole industry of folks who are like, well, let me do that for you. I'll
Right,
promote your stuff on social. I'll
right.
I'll ship out your packages.
Well, and I 100% get that. I was a flooring contractor for a lot of years, and the thing is, like, I'm very good at slinging wood. I am incredible at slinging wood. I suck at running a business. So it's like I
Right.
had a payroll service. I had, you know, I had everybody taking care of everything except for the actual installation because that's what I excel at. So I understand that writers, whatever, don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of distribution and things. So
And it can definitely distract you from, what you really like about the business. I mean, after 10, so I started Magnetic 10 years ago, and I was a publisher for a company called Archaea for about
mhm,
3 years, and then Archaea got acquired by Boom Studios,
mhm,
and they didn't need two publishers, so I took that opportunity to go out and start my own company.
nice.
And I had the kitchen knowledge. I knew what the recipes were. I knew what ingredients were involved, but man,
Right.
having to do it all on your own. I mean, it was my wife and I like boxing up books in the kitchen and going through the savings account to pay the printers and um yeah, and that was in the days when Kickstarter was still around. We
Mhm.
kickstarted our very first book, but it was a lot more work for a lot less return. And
Sure.
having about 3 years after doing that on my own, and Ironforge came around and said, "Hey, can we help you do that?" I was like, "Yes, please." Take care of the contracts? Sure, yes, absolutely. Hey, take care of warehousing? Yes.
All right, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about one of your very, very successful Kickstarters that just ended, and that's for the Planet of the Apes role playing game. You guys funded with almost 2,000 backers and $324,000. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, it did pretty well for us. I mean, it being a worldwide recognized
Mhm.
title, I think we expected it to reach a bunch of people, and it did reach a bunch of people around the world. I mean, I'd say a third of our backers are probably from Europe, and especially with Apes being based on a French sci-fi novel to begin with, I think there's a lot of love for Planet of the Apes in Europe. So, but yeah, it did well for us. It's been our best campaign so far, and it just I think planted the seeds for a lot more to come.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And Planet of the Apes is a huge franchise. I mean, Boom Studios is making the. What does Boom still have the license?
No, I think now it's
Um,
actually with Disney, or I'm sorry, with Marvel, because
okay, so
it's
it's Marvel
yeah,
now. But
yeah,
Boom
it's
for
Century
several years
Studios.
was making the books, and they did
Yeah,
the revamped series that's still streaming. Like I was watching it just the other night in a hotel room.
mhm,
But Planet of the Apes is still a worldwide franchise
yeah,
that is still selling. When new things come out or whatever. And then TTRPG in the space of nerdy fandoms is really making a comeback, and you
yeah,
see Critical Role and these other shows and things that are coming out that are bringing it into the mainstream, and Todd Stashwick and
mhm.
And Manganiello and these guys. What's the guy who does the whiskey? Uh, he's in Scream. What's his name? Matthew Lillard is
Oh
doing
yeah,
the
yeah,
Quest and whiskey and stuff like that. So you're taking this franchise that everybody knows and loves, and then you're taking TTRPG, which is on the rise, and you're mashing them together, and people are
yeah,
hungry for it, obviously.
yeah. I mean, actually, people have been asking because we had made the arrangement with. Actually, we made the arrangement for the game before 20th Century Studios was acquired by Disney. So,
Mhm.
I mean that complicated and delayed things a little bit while we figured out that transition between what was Fox and Disney, and now it's
Mhm.
and so that took a little bit of extra time, but people have been asking about it for years. So the fact that we're finally able to get it out there and put it in front of people, the excitement has been pretty palpable.
Well, and you guys did it the right way too. I mean, you got Bill Sankovitz, you've got Andrew E.C. Gasca, you've got these guys who are huge in the industries that they're coming from, and the artwork is on point. I've seen some of the previews and things like that. They look fantastic. So it's like, sometimes when you sit there and you look at things that come out, Anton actually reviewed a thing the other day, and he's like, "Man, I'm really excited about this zine, except the artwork is not great." And it's like it's one of those things that you've got to have so many different elements. It's got to be familiar for the people who know the franchise back and forth. It's gotta have fantastic artwork. You guys did these miniatures. Who did the sculpts for the miniatures?
A couple of artists from Europe.
Mhm,
I'm terrible on the names, but yeah, we had three different sculptors on the various pieces. Yeah, we had even more models made, but we had them
mhm,
set up as stretch goals because these things cost money, so we actually have to hit stretch goals. And
right.
there are two other sets that we didn't unlock, but we've got them built and they look great. And who knows, maybe we'll do a year or two expansion.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd
Yeah.
be really cool. Yeah, nice. So you heard it here first, folks. There's gonna no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so it looks like we talked a little bit before we started recording. And it looks like the folks that are pre-ordering now, because you can go on the website now
Yeah.
and pre-order still as a
Mhm.
late backer, which is fantastic. Those ones are going to ship in a few months for Q1 in 2025, and then when you open it up just for regular retail, you said those are going to be ready by like Q2 of
Yeah, probably
2025.
probably late Q2. Yeah, we're probably looking
Okay,
at May or June for the
right
retail.
on. So the important thing is if you want to get a hold of this set and be the first one playing it at, at the library, wherever you're doing it, at school, at lunch, or whatever, you need to go to the website now and do the pre-order because that'll get it to you 3 months earlier.
Yeah, and not only that, but the plastic items, the miniature sets and the dice tower,
Mhm.
like all of the plastic components, will only be available from us directly to the
Okay.
web store and Kickstarter campaign. Those will not be in retail.
Okay. So there's your big selling point. Get to the website now to check it out.
Right.
And I went to the website. Everything's on there. It's all itemized,
Mm.
for the different slipcase book sets and the different sets of miniatures and things like that. They're all available on there for order right this minute. It's a very easy to use website. I think that part went through BackerKit because when I was on Kickstarter, it redirected me to BackerKit to see all the a la carte pieces there.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, if you're going to do the pre-order, you got to buy the whole thing because that's where you get the most bang for your buck and you get all the little pieces. So there's
Yeah.
my little plug for it. It's fantastic. I want one. My guy Anton, who works for us and does all the TTRPG, definitely wants one. So we're gonna have to see how we can make that happen.
Sure.
Um, Another thing that we were talking about is you've got a partnership coming up with French-based Label 619. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've known these guys for years. I mean, I think I first met them. I can't even. I mean, it's been years since I've known them. I keep going out to this festival in Angoulême, France, every January. That's where I find most of Magnetics books do tend to be acquisitions from France, Italy, Spain, etc. Um, and the majority of them are French. And
Mhm.
so when I go out to Angoulême, I find all these great books, and so many of them happen to be by this art studio called Label 619, and we published a bunch of them. We did a book called Frontier most recently, Midnight Order, Shangri La, Carbon and Silicon. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. They've got dozens and dozens of just amazing books. And this past year, and they've loved our edition of their
Mhm.
books. So this past year, we just started talking about like, how can we do more together? And so we just signed an exclusive agreement with them to be their uh, English language publisher. So we'll now be able to get a whole lot more of their titles out.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And it's funny to me. So you said Label 619. I went to their website, and
Mhm.
everything about this front page of the website is very Southern California. So it's a French company that's making books with this image of, like tags and, the stencils off the side of lowrider cars and
Yeah,
like it's just
Lowriders and Loba Loca and yeah, Luca Libre.
it's funny that that they're so fascinated with American stuff, but then we're fascinated with their French like lens looking at our American Southern California stuff and that it's coming back to Southern California. Wait, you're in Southern California, right?
No, I'm sure.
Oh, never mind. Well, it's coming back to Chicago to talk about these.
Right.
It's a funny kind of like boomerang around the world to get back to
It
the United
is.
States with this image of what the United States is from a foreign perspective.
Well, and the cool thing is to I mean, they do capture so much of that Southern California. I mean, 619 is what the area code in San Diego. So I mean, that's
San Diego,
even
yeah.
from the very beginning of their label, they're like, look, this is what we want to do, and they do so
Mhm,
much, pop culture, pulpy type of things. They've got a whole series of books that are kind of horror anthologies, very
mhm,
EC comics that it's a nod to American comics and American pop culture, but through the lens of this
mhm,
French aesthetic, which just adds a whole nother layer of cool to it.
mhm.
But yeah, so much of their stuff just has not been published in English yet. So we're gonna fix that starting next year.
Well, and some of these titles too are I mean, they're so awesomely, like, hilarious in their appropriateness and, like, the way that they pull things together.
Yeah.
This is a horror anthology that I'm looking at called Low Reader,
Yep.
which, like, looks like I mean, the logo itself looks like a lowrider, and
Right.
it sounds like lowrider. That's I mean, I've never heard of these folks before, but I'm super excited. I want to order some of these books now. Are these in English on their website?
Probably not. No, I think they've had a couple here and there, but it's like I think Titan might have done one or two, and then of course we did like 4 or 5, and there was their flagship book. It's called
Mhm.
MFKZ. I think a couple of single issues might have come out from Massive, but not the whole series. And so we're going to be
Mhm.
putting that out next year in its
Right
entirety.
on. Right
Yeah,
on. So you already have some of the titles lined up for what's going to come out next year from 619?
yeah, we've got the first 4 figured out. I mean, granted, we're still kind of talking about the strategy with the creators there, just to make sure that they're, you know, honestly, the thing is, I want to be a vehicle for them, so they're going to be the ones doing. They're going to continue to do the art direction, and they'll be producing all the promotional and merchandising stuff. These guys, they've got connections doing vinyl figures and stuff that are
Oh,
just going to
fun.
blow people away. So, yeah,
Nice.
this is we're going to be entering a whole other arena with this stuff.
Well, that sounds very, very cool. Now, when you're doing their books, are these gonna be, kickstarted with the model that you're already doing right now, or are these gonna be direct market?
Yeah, I mean, they'll also be available on the direct market, but I mean, we've just found, especially in the last 4 years, I mean, we've done like 40 campaigns so far.
Mhm.
It's just, it's just the way to go. I mean, it's the brick and mortar scene has shrunk. So to
Mhm.
make ends meet, offering things direct to consumers and building that community of people who want to be involved from the beginning, and
Mhm.
um, that's just a model that we're really comfortable with, and so I think we're going to continue that with them. They'll probably have their own Kickstarter account label,
Mhm.
but we're gonna give it the same process.
Right on.
Yeah,
Right on. Well, I think, another point about Kickstarter, though, too, is that you're not overprinting or underprinting or having to do second and third printings and things like that because you have a better idea of exactly what the market is, like, how many people want the book because those are the folks that ordered it, right?
yeah. I mean, there have been a couple of cases where okay, well, we sold out of those real quick, so we do have to do a second or a third printing
Mhm.
within a couple of months. But we definitely have enough to fulfill the pre-orders and get
That
initial
initial
retail
demand.
orders.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And in a lot of cases, it gives us an opportunity to experiment with other formats. Like
Mhm.
we're putting together a campaign that we're going to launch probably in another 3 or 4 weeks or so for a book by an artist named Antoine Carrion, and we've
Mhm.
done 2 other books that Antoine illustrated. He's a like gallery level painter.
Oh,
I
fun.
mean, he's just fantastic stuff. But we published a book called Temujin that he did, and another book called Nils that he did.
Mhm.
We are completely sold out of Nils, so this gives us a new opportunity to. We're going to re-offer a new edition of that in this campaign.
I mean, we had some other things that we were gonna talk about today that, kinda got pushed out a little bit, so we're gonna do a follow-up to this one, so stay tuned for that because it's very, very exciting stuff, but I think we pretty much covered a bunch of the stuff that we intended to cover here. I wanna thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
This has been fantastic. This is, Mike Kennedy, one of the founders of Magnetic Press. It's their 10th anniversary, lots of exciting stuff, with, Planet of the Apes role-playing game. You can pre-order that, go to the website. You can just, search bar that. I don't have to give you the URL or anything. It's super easy to find. And then they've got the
Planet of
exclusive.
the Apes, Planet of the Apes RPG.com, all one word.
There it is. Fantastic. Because that's the one thing I didn't look up. Thanks. And then you've got the exclusive with Label 619. That's some very exciting stuff coming up. And then, like I said, we're going to follow up this one in a couple of months with another very, very exciting that
Yeah,
I really, really, really want to talk about, but we really, really, really shouldn't right now.
me
So,
too. I know, biting my
so I
tongue.
want, nice. So I want to thank Mike for your time. Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.